Hey folks, Mr. Justin here with Secret Weapon Miniatures and a reboot for this week's broadcast because of a mic problem. But I'm happy to see the indicators moving now, letting me know that the mic is working. Thanks for letting me know we had no sound. Let's start again, shall we? First, let me thank you for tuning in to Workbench Wednesday. I really look forward to having you here with me. Always something for me to look forward to. I appreciate that. Of course, this is your first time tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe, bells, whistles, all the things you need to do to make sure you're keeping up with Secret Weapon. Today, I'm actually taking a piece of artwork by Eric Goose. Wonderful artist, very creative work where he took a bunch of everyday objects and turned them into really fun spaceships. The one that captured my immediate attention was one made out of your humble Head and Shoulders bottle, or in this case, the generic equivalent. And so today I am actually going to be taking this bottle, put a stick through it so I can use it as a stand at some point if I choose to. But I'm going to take this bottle and kitbash it. For kit bashing, well, it shouldn't surprise anyone to know that I can kind of go overboard here. I have a lot of kits that I use specifically for kit bashing and creating things like, well, the spaceship that we're going to make today. This one is a classic. I'll actually close this up. Rather move it so you guys can see the lid now. Yeah, I'll just hold everything in. Go. Too big to get under there otherwise. So this is the Leopold Railway gun kit. And it gets a lot of traffic as a kit basher's kit. There are a lot of really great Gridleys in here. Wonderful pieces like this. All of these I have ideas for and uses for on this build. You get great texture pieces. You get the great gun mounts. There's little ladders. This actually belongs to a different kit, and I'll talk about this kit in a minute. Get these out of here. Leftovers from my last build project. Once this gets low enough, I will actually go pick up another one and then just combine the two. So I have that. I have a metric ton of Warhammer 40,000 bits from Games Workshop. Now this is a kit here that also gets a lot of traffic. And that's why I have so very many of them. As there are great bits in here. And it's an inexpensive kit with a lot of fun bits. So I'm fairly sure I'll use this today. Put that with my Leopold pile. And then I have a similarly ridiculous amount of loose Gunpla parts. Every extra polycap we've ever had. Some 40K stuff in here, it looks like, too. But yeah, lots of extra little Gunpla bits, which are especially great for creating weapons. The Gunpla weapons are, well, ostensibly, 1/44th, or 1/144th. So yeah, they make nice little additions to the ships and such, too. All right, so again, based on some inspiration from Eric Goose's work, and that's Space Goose, if you want to find him on Instagram. Otherwise, it's Eric Geusz. So I am looking at his piece now. And it has lots of nice panels. One of the things with art like this is I am working from one side, so I also have to extrapolate some things for the other side. Now at the back of this particular piece, we get a wing that comes out next to some thrusters. So it's fairly easy for me to assume that there's one of those mirrored on the other side. But a lot of the stuff I see here, as long as it's inspired by, there's certainly no reason to mirror it exactly. And the front, all right, I think I'm going to start here in the front. Now mine is, of course, missing the little cap, but that's fine. We'll make that work to our advantage. And you notice that I've hit this with some sandpaper, and that's true of the whole thing. I gave it a light rub down with some sandpaper. It's going to make it easier for the glue to adhere. It's going to be easier for the pieces to stick. All of that. So I'm going to start at the front. And I need some pointy gun looking things and some window looking things. So let's start doing that. Let's look for some gun and window looking things. Some good small dribblies in there. One of the other things I look for are sections that will make a good rise or fall, particularly if I can put a pipe through something, so much the better. Make it clear that there's depth in the model. All right, let's get the other half of that. Now it doesn't mean I'm not going to use these bits. It just means I'm not using them yet. So now I'm onto my flak wagon. Don't think I need anything from the wheel frame. I do want that. And I can use those as flares and vents, so I want that. And another one of these. Should do it for these. Lots of progress I can make with what I have now. Which bits are these? All right. Popping open a Gundam box. What do we got? So many bits. Oh, that's actually an unfinished kit. That doesn't count. My kid would probably be sad if I took his unfinished Zeta Gundam and turned it into a spaceship. This one's unfinished on purpose because I bought it for its bits. Although, I'm looking now, I don't know that I want them for this project. Yes, I do. Fairly certain I just found my thruster pods. Some cool antenna. Gonna do. I don't want to overwhelm my desk or my brain. Because it's not mine, I'm not sharing it here. I didn't have a chance to get the artist's permission to share it here beforehand, but it is Eric Goose, Geussz, so you can find him very easily with a quick trip over to Google. Yeah. And yeah, it is. All right, So yeah, these are going to become my thruster pods, I think. Didn't need that. Why did I want this one? I saw a couple of these things. That's why. All right, little canony things. So I'm back to my spaceship, and one of the things I'm gonna need right off the bat, I'm gonna clippy snip, clippy snip, 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 snip. All right, the other one of those. And although this is certainly inspired by Eric's work, it'll have a bit of my own flair on it as well, of course. Now let's see. For instance, where his doesn't have them, I like the idea of using these things as little window ports along the side here somewhere, or gun ports. Little cannons sticking out of there. And the other thing I want to check before I start gluing a couple of bits here is whether or not these pieces are going to work as my rear thrusters, because that would just really be awesome. There we go. And the answer is yes, that will work. I'll need to do a little something something to play with that area back here, but already I have a good piece for this. Now, it does mean when I'm working with this, there's a gap, so I don't want these little widgets on here. Cut those off. There we go. That'll do. All right. I am going to find glue, because apparently there isn't any on my desk, or did I just cover it up? I'm going to find glue. Fortunately, that's very easy to do. And I prefer, when I'm working with the cyanoacrylite, I actually prefer these teeny tiny tubes. I don't like the big ones that get all gunked up and messy and meh. Let's use my little tubes. Okay. Right there. Light coating. In place. So now we see how long it takes the instant dry glue to actually dry. I don't want to start getting a zip kicker involved because it can make the, well, first off, it makes the glue a bit more fragile, but also it can make the area around it flaky, brittle, little chunks of crystallized crap. None for me, thank you. Okay. There's glue on both surfaces. I sanded the HDPE because it should work. But it's not. So, easy answer. There we go. No, no. There we don't go. I thought I had it. Okay. So I'm just very quickly wiping off the excess glue with cotton swab. Because I don't want, like I said, I don't want the area to get messy. This is a little extra work, but at least it'll dry. And it'll stay, and we can move on and keep playing with other parts. All right. Do the other side in a bit. I want to keep working on this side. Well, I'm going to need more of this. I know that. So, here, nice and stable. Okay, so I also need to glue these bits together, and then I'm going to cut them apart. I'll actually cut them apart first and then glue them together, but I'm going to use these as 3 pieces instead of 1. Take a look at Eric's piece here again. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Maybe I do want to use this as 1. Kind of makes it ridiculously long, though. So I'm not. I am going to stick with my original plan here. I should saw that, really. Well, I should, but I'm not gonna, because I don't know where it is. So we're just gonna do this really rough here. Should come in and cut from both sides. I'm not trying to cut through the whole thing. And snap. So you'll see I'm coming in low and on one side. It's already coming up here. You can do the same on the other. That gets me that spot. And then if I want to make it nice and clean, I can just come through those 2. And there we go. And that gives me this piece, which I like. So let's go ahead and glue it now. I don't want to do that, of course, before or I mean after I glue it, because then everything is fragile, including the glue bond. Overage there. Hey, Greg, thank you for joining us. All right. It was cured enough for my needs. So I'm going to clean off the extra bits of frame there and set this piece aside for a few minutes to let it finish curing, and I can start looking at some miscellaneous gubbins. We're going to gub up the back end here for now. Actually, instead we're going to work on the gubbins that come around the engine. So let's do that. Let's do that. All right. So that means a change in materials. Like me, there's my other vent for later. All right, where are the gubbins I wanted for the engine? Here we go. And I'm going to want a couple of solid plug looking pieces. All right, so here's the one with all the things I'm going to use as vents. Okay. Cables, pipes, and that bit. Cables, pipes, and that bit. Okay, I've got two of those. I've got one of these. I need. Should have the big hunky chunky pieces I'm looking for. Oh yeah, perfect. In fact, I'm going to look at this piece on there and see how I feel about that. I want one of those. Ooh, I've got to have one of these. Oh, that's too cool not to use. A little access plate right here. I don't even know, but it totally belongs. So let's do it. It's clearly an engine compartment or component. I can also use some of these bits of the frame. And hello, Jess. Thank you for chiming in too. Need this little ladder piece. Which didn't shoot properly anyway. Interesting. That's no doubt the other half of the other thingamajigger, but hey, we're going to turn that into something different. There we go. These delicate bits here. All right, I think that's going to be enough cutting for the moment, because if nothing else, I don't want you guys to have to sit here and watch me cut out bits all day. No doubt more fun for me than you. is definitely getting used. Towards the front, I think. There. Engine Griblies, engine Griblies. Oh, so many little good pieces here. Hold on to that. Don't need these. I know about those. This on top. All right. Here we are. All right, I now have a nice little pile of Griblies here. Let's get them on camera for you to work with. So this is before I even start pulling out plastic card, and I'm kind of hoping I don't need to do that today, just for the purposes of this build. I'd like to just throw it together from bits of kit. Apparently, I ate my hobby knife. Okay, there it is. Like, how can I lose something already? All right, clean off this little bit here. That little bit there. A quick glance at Eric's piece. Okay. Okay. There's the pool. Spin it around. And kick it. It don't get kicked, I guarantee. Now I have a little gap under that. And for this, oh wait, I'm about to make you sad, aren't I? Because you hate the smell of baby powder.
Just use it.
I was gonna say I can always go get cornstarch from the kitchen. Cornstarch works too. I'm gonna take baby powder and from the direction of my gap, give it a little huff and a puff. And I blow that gap away. Voila. One mostly filled gap. I should have used some expanding foam inside for some rigidity. I was actually thinking about that before the broadcast. But yeah, I haven't had time to go pick any up. Doing it now, I would worry that some of the pieces would pop off with a bit of expansion. I'm not sure what sort of future this particular build is going to have. I will probably paint it for shiggles, but right now I'm just figuring I'm going to build it and then it will go on its merry way. All right, so I also, that's right, I had that big piece. I wanted to see how this would work somewhere on here. That is kind of fun. Ooh. Oh, but that is better. That looks like serious engine pokery to me. So this is probably going to stay right there. Now again, one of the things I'm paying attention to is building up layers as well. So again, I've got a bit of an engine that goes behind this piece. I have a hole here, holes here that I can bring components through later. For instance, I could take a piece like that, run some cables through it. I've got the double one right here. I could do this. That's why I keep a thumbnail. So, you know, just a bit like this, just having cables, particularly cables that cross over an object like this, makes such a difference visually when you're building a kit like this from scratch. I mean, if you think about the Millennium Falcon, for instance, the build for that, I mean, it's a gigantic chunk of, you know, foam, horseshoe-shaped foam, that is mostly interesting because of the holes in it, you know, where the cables all run into those little compartments. And it makes a big difference on that build. All right, so this one is going to annoy me because it does not have a lot of surface area to connect to the model. That'll make do. More, so we'll mount it here. Get my kicker. Kick it in the rear. It's a good thing I can entertain myself. Sorry for bringing you all down to my level, though. My friend Kristen has said, and it's one of my favorite sayings, "Blessed are the easily amused, for they shall be." All right. So, engine pokery. So far, so good. We'll get some work done on this, and even if we don't finish the whole build today, I mean, it's coming up on 11 as I'm cutting out pieces. Because I didn't want to have them. I actually didn't want to have them all prepared ahead of time. I didn't want to spend that time, you know, designing the kit without walking through that process with you. Well, how's that? Service ladder comes right up to that. That's got to happen. Leave that gently sitting there for a minute. This little widget. Okay. There we go. I think I like that. I think I like that a lot. All right. That there. Kick it. Still a gap right here. I'm actually going to try to fix that with this zip kicker. Tiny little squeeze of glue. That'll do. All right. so we have this as the beginning of our spaceship so far. Bring it up on the... this will be a non-symmetrical build. A couple of the components, like a couple of the engine components, I'll do symmetrically because I have them. But no, I intend to make the kit different on both sides. Alright, let me remember to drink some water. Remember, folks, take your meds, stay hydrated. And James, let me also say thank you for the question. Alright. I'm going to save these little wee delicate bits for towards the end here, because I don't want to keep breaking them off while I work. Ideally, I would also drill a little spot for them, depending on where I want to put them. But that looks like a good idea to me. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Uh-oh, I must have gotten some zip kicker on the bottle. Hate it when that happens. But another reason I like these little ones. I can always borrow a cap from another one if I need to. Oh, well, yeah. Needle. Oh, yeah. Schmutz right there. There we go. I also want a little drop right here. Just kick you over a tiny bit. Not that much. Alright, so now I've got my first little fiddly bit in there. And again, pointing out how having this kind of little detailed depth can make a big difference. So, another thing I would like to do is use some of these as vents. These little ammo hoppers. Gonna make people cringe and just twist them off of the frame. Watch me do it. It's a terror. You guys will be having nightmares about this for a week, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want this bit. I think I'm going to find a use for these bits here too while I'm at it. Pretty much just this frame. Let's just do that. Let's agree now that we're just going to take this frame and we're going to apply the whole frame to this kit right Also remember that with, some of these larger pieces, you don't always have to keep them in one piece. Nothing says you have to do that. And also, again, remember to keep some interesting sections of frame. Oh, see, I even broke that one on accident, and I wanted it. Because if you get some of these pieces where, you've got these little bends in a frame, yeah, that can easily become, another conduit on your kit. Additionally, the little sections of numbers, you can cut these out. I tend to use the secret weapon brass for that. Not a big surprise. It's part of the reason I made it. Shit out of the way. There we go. Now everyone. Plastic, because these are to make the crates. Don't need to worry about the crates right now. This little piece. All right, tons of Gridleys. In space, nobody can hear you, Kitbashed. I like that. All right. So let's see these guys. Not feeling you right now. Well, that looks pretty great. Oh yeah, right there. It's gonna leave me quite a gap though. Now another material I use a lot of when I do work like this is foam core, actually. You just can't attach it with cyanoacrylate because it'll melt. And I'm again going to fill in this gap in here since it's a big gap in a big area. There we go. Has the headache kicked in yet, Jess?
Oh, yes. I did the first time.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Remember to get some cornstarch in here instead. All right. Dun, 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 dun. And hey, Raven Rich. What's up, Ray? Thank you for chiming in today. Good to see you here. All right. So I'll bring this back onto the big front cam here again so that we can get an idea of how the spaceship is coming together. Pew, pew, pew. So this turns into a very convenient either observation window, gun mount, whatever. This turns into a very convenient door. We've got the ladder coming up here at this point. Lots of room for me to really play. And then I have all of these really incredible little fun bits. Like this one is great. I use these a lot. This is from the Flak Wagon kit, and I love this because it looks like it's got a little switch, little spot to put power. And I'm going to switch over to Eric's art again here for a second. Let's see. Doop, 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 doop. Yeah, this is already such a departure. I'm just going to go and nuts and have fun. Well, one of these days, I'll have to get the right bottle and then do his actual build, because it's a fun, well-designed piece. And while I'm having a grand time here, I am definitely not sticking to the source material. Oh, leave gaps, Justin. Small gaps can help become my panel lines later. Which, to be fair, I also do not need to actually carve into place. We can cheat a lot with pencil. They make a 1/2 millimeter mechanical pencils, and you get in there with that, and you've got a lovely panel line. It's also what I use most of the time now for actual sculpted panel lines. And of course, when I did the perfect grade Millennium Falcon from Bandai, I did all the panel lines with pencil, just like they did. All right. So my plan for these, and I like to use these on spaceships for this, is I can actually put them, nope, not that one. Nope, yep, you guys are all going to have it, that's right, because of how you're meant to fit. I just cut off that bottom piece. But they make nice little vents, like a little heat exchange or something like that. These are the magazines for the Flak Wagon. So they've got the little stripes on them. So my thinking was that I would do like a row of these near the engine here. But first, I need to set that aside and cut this. Perhaps. Let's do it with a clip. Okay, let's not do it with a clipper because I've lost those two by having just put a spaceship on top. All right. And that one's already flat. Okay. Clean up some spilled glue over here. There we go. All right, so I have these. These four are ready to go. And in this case, I'm actually running low on zip kicker. I'm gonna have to get more. That's crazy. I'm going to headbutt the camera. I'm actually just going to put down a very thin layer on that whole area. I'm going to laugh at having just cleaned up spilled glue, because now I could use some glue. And a little pile on my desk. All right. So then I'm going to take my piece right here. Decide I want them to go that way. Dip it in my glue, dab off the excess, and assuming the kicker is still damp. There we go. And they are fairly evenly spaced because I use the width of my thumb when I'm putting it down. I press my thumbnail against the last one. It gets me this. Yeah, Jordan, thank you again for pointing out that sound wasn't working earlier. Yeah, I have no idea why, but the problem is solved now, and I'm glad for that. All right, so now we have these little heat exchanges, and our ship is really beginning to look much more ship-like. So I'm going to put on some larger pieces now to help define it and make that more true. What do we got? What do we got? Big piece, no whammies. Oh, so many little pieces. No, Justin, bad Justin. Big pieces. Oh my God, look at these amazing little pieces. All right, let's find some of the larger panels. I could certainly do a thing with that. It doesn't jump at me. You do. You're jumpy. All right. You even brought a bit of frame with you. All right, so let's decide. Take a quick look at Eric's piece for inspiration again. I'm actually very gently flexing the plastic here. To help it conform to the shape of the piece. Put that down here. And kick it. All right, that one's on. Ooh, crossing panel lines. Yeah, there we go. Right there. Disguise the damage I did to the bottle at some point. All right, so I'm gonna clean this piece off real quick. Scrapey, scrapey. Scrapey, scrapey, scrapey. I'm gonna cut off all of its nubbins because it does not need to fit into its other piece. We're not going to do that today. Now I've got this little forward-looking radar-y, antenna-y, who knows. Do I really want it right at the front? I really don't. I really do want it right here. All right. Oh, left a bit of flash. A little bit of trim. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah, definitely not going to be a symmetrical build. Parts of it will be. These pieces here, this setup here, and these here will be symmetrical on the other side. And that'll be fairly easy. I made a point of using lines that I find easy to trace again on the kit or on the shampoo bottle. So it'll be easy for me to get the other one to just line up right here too. And I can take my time doing that. I won't hit it with a zip kicker until everything's done. And yeah, I have plenty of the components to do that, since it's only half of the Leopold gun. Well, half of that part of the Leopold gun. They made that gun kind of large. Okay. Right there. Q-tip to clean up because I made a big old mess. I guarantee. No moving. Thank you. And from the top. Quick wipe. Quick kick. And again. Boom. Now some of the components, like I don't know if this will be symmetrical or not on the other side, but right now I could replicate all of that without too much hassle. All right, so that's another big piece. Let's see if we can get some panelies in here. I'll put this to the audience since we've got damn nice hair. So I like it here. I would do 3 of them coming up to the front. But I also like it when there's a large docking area or observation area down here. And Jordan, yeah, normally for something like this, I would fill it full of expanding foam. I didn't have any or get a chance to go get it. I don't know what the life of this kit is going to look like. For now, I was just excited to spend a day building it. I may paint it, I may not. I may keep it, I may not. I did put a stick through it specifically so that I could mount it to a base, though, if I chose to. But all right, back to this. So I would line it up there, I think. But like I said, I also like it here. And the short answer is why not both? Because I can do both. So I have extras of these. So many extras of these. Yeah, that's true. I have been going all horizontal right now. Except for some vertical Gridleys. Because I like those that way. Well, they don't have to go that way though, do they? Well, that's interesting too. In fact, I like that very much. So we're going to do that. And this will be another one. It's getting painfully low, where I will I need to ruin a different brush. Where is one of my crummy brushes? Come here, crummy brush. And yeah, James, I'm doing that now. I like that idea. Thank you. Oh, hey, look, that's what it's thinking. Big old, it's covered in glue. How delightful. By delightful, I mean a giant pain in my butt. I don't like it. Now I wonder if I always use delightful that way. You'll wonder if you ever hear me refer to you as delightful. Maybe we can make that the Northern California version of bless. Plenty of Texan friends have explained that one to me. All right, this one is going to require me to hold it for a minute because it's being a pain. Well, at least I'm glued to it now. I had not yet managed to glue myself to the kit. So I'm also going to tell you guys a little secret about studio spaceships. Mostly they only have one side. Yeah, because this thing is hollow. Already run into some problems. There we go. Because if you think about it, shooting a ship like this in the background, that's all you need. All right, so we've got that. Couldn't that be interesting? Nah. I like the one. All right, let's get back to the front of the ship a bit. That's what we're talking about. I wonder, can I get this off without breaking everything? There's a noise for everybody to enjoy together. All right. So I am actually going to take the cap here, and from the inside I'm going to shave out some of this plastic. Again, one of my favorite things to do, one of the, I would say, important rules for this kind of build, is to cross components like this, make sure that there's depth layers. So in the case of something like this, if I'm going to have a component sticking out of the front of the spaceship, my favorite thing to do is going to be this. Viola! Wait, did I get that right? Whatever. So now, It is very clearly coming out of that interior. And already, boom, gives us a more interesting front end. And I still have the other 2/3 of the Leopold gun that I can do something with here. For all I know, it could be another one on each side. From here. Come out from here. I could do one of these. Cut it part way down so that it has room effectively here. I'll fake it for a minute. I could do that. And I think I will. All right, so I am going to take same trick I used last time because I don't have my saw, at least not handy. I'm not sure where it is right now. I'm going to start low. Going to totally misalign that. That's fine. I can sand it and cut it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Well, at the moment, I can still get the cap off. And if nothing else, I know that I used to have a bottle of spray foam with a very small, like WD-40 sized straw that came with it. So I might even just be able to shoot it right down the tip of the ship here. We'll see. Honestly, I hope I can, because I think that would be hilarious. Yeah, don't do that. Welcome to watching Mr. Justin stick to things. Today's episode, Mr. Justin sticks to some things. It's like an episode of Honey, Where's My Pants, but boring and sad. All right, now that I have thoroughly glued myself to myself and everything around me. Now, of course, ideally, I would also want to fill the seam, properly sand this with a sandpaper so I can wrap it around it. But I'm not doing any of that. Right there. All right. That's my surface contact, huh? Make do. Get the area wet with my zip kicker. And go. There we are. So, wow, I can't even get the whole thing on there at this point. I'm a spaceship on a stick. But one of the things I notice is that this alignment, we don't get to see that unless it's back a little bit. Profile looks good from the front so far. We clearly have our engine area defined back here. So let's take a look now again. Like what else I can do to... That's going to be harder to wrap. I like that. I think that's strong. So I'm going to, again, using my thumb, just gently press on that thinner spot here, because that'll help me get it to lay flat when I put it on the area here. I'll zip kick it after I get it attached. I also generally like to sand pieces before I attach them to the kit because it'll help them stick. But again, that's it takes time, and the point of this today is just to play. No idea what I'm going to do with this kit later. No concerns about it. This is my favorite kind of work. That's why even when I'm doing civilian vehicles and whatnot, I so much enjoy I do enjoy the detailing so much. And yes, the spaceship is a series of tubes. All right, let's get some of these on here. I'll be darned if that doesn't just look like a Lego, though. And that's fine, actually. I can... God, is the robot handy? Oh, I don't know where the Titan is. It's probably in Seamus' room. But there's a Titan in the other room that, the cannon on its arm is just the Lego bits that look like this. I use a lot of Lego, actually, when I'm, especially when I'm scratch building properly, like just me and plastic hard. That's funky at both ends. Let's do this one. Now this is fun because, well, that's there. I can actually get the zip kicker, side it if I need to. All right. Try to break up horizontals. So how do I keep picking up more horizontal pieces.
Vertically challenged.
Hmm?
Is it vertically challenged?
Yes. All right. So at this point, one of the things I want to do is send that flying across the room. Mission accomplished. That's what I set out to do today, therefore I am finished. Thank you all for tuning in. Now that I've shot something across the room, while trying to clean it up, peace out. What I would like to do is start finding pieces to come this way more as well. So this would be a good opportunity for me to start looking at how I'm going to set cables below each other so that they go from place to place and not just sitting flat on the ship. So I am going to, now that I've gone, so I like this one because it's got those little, what would be antenna for us, I suppose. All right. So, a quick glance around at the bits again to see what I can get for panels that let me go up and down. I know I've got some cool bits because the Leopold, frankly, is just made out of things for this. Get some of these rails off of here. Now they're cables. Cables with interesting directions as well. And I can do some of this with wire. Goodness knows I can reach my wire drawer from where I'm sitting at the moment. But I prefer not to. I find that without a fair bit of effort, your wire will generally look like wire on a finished kit. And I'm going to put in the effort, but again, it's time consuming. And I'd rather spend this time doing something else with you guys. Ooh, here's a good panel for that. You are detailed. You're detailed on the other side. Excellent. All right, so now we've got some panels I can play with to get the cabling started. And that is what will finally bring this whole project right here to life. I might even use this whole big old strip at some point. But I want this panel. I'm here for 2 panels. Don't get distracted, Justin. I want my 2 console panels. All right. So let's take a quick review of what we've got for this stage. I have a bunch of my little Gridleys. And I've gone, at this point, to much smaller pieces, because now we're going to start getting in here to detail in space. Take a quick look at Eric's piece that inspired me to begin with. I'm going to say several times, and then I'm just going to do what I'm doing. Another one of these if I want it. A couple of different things there. And these, which are good for running cables through. So I've got my little Gridleys got a couple of larger pieces. I've got my panels, and I've got more of the cable pieces over here. So actually, yes. Jordan asks if I should use a hair dryer or some other heat source to heat the plastic and make it easier to shape around what I'm working on, and the answer is yes. Um, Excuse me. In fact, when I want to get fancy, I have a little heated salt bed. It's the same sort of thing. If you wear glasses and you go to your optometrist and they're going to adjust your plastic frames for you, they put it in a little thing full of hot salt, and it warms the plastic very quickly, very evenly. And yeah, for stuff like that, I would actually do exactly that. Drop it into the hot salt for a few seconds, pull it out, shape it, good to go. Yeah, but that again all takes time. It sounds to me like what I'm going to have to do is a much longer presentation on everything that would go into doing this at a larger scale, even. I mean, not necessarily a larger ship, but if I were actually doing this as a commission build, um, how different that would be, what I would do differently for the full process. All right, but for now, we've got panels like this that don't sit flat. Those are awesome. Yeah, that'll do. Gives it a bit of stability over here. Makes this area look heavier. It's gonna sit flush for me too, which is nice. There's glue on my glue. So I can glue myself to my glue while I glue. Let's kick it so nobody has to wait. All right, next, let's get another one of these. That's fun. Look at that. All right. Too fun. Oh, good. I glued pieces to the table too. I'm batting 1,000 today. All right. I have no idea what that means, by the way.
It's literally your worst at bat in a baseball game.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but I assume it means you miss every pitch. Okay, there you go. Yeah, the context, I mean, I could always glean the context from inference, but so I need to not make it over busy either, because I need some flat areas. But it still needs, let me start trying to get cables on here, because I feel like it still needs room to do more cable, but I have been wrong before. Here we go. So let's give that a shot. Now that I've glued my glue to itself. I know I could do that. Let's get one of those there. What do we got? We got this little guy. larger one for that to make it more interesting. Here we go. Well, maybe. There it is. That's what I want. There we go. And yeah, thank you guys for the feedback. I will definitely make a point of doing another one of these where I have all of my equipment on the desk to show off how to heat a part. I can do, instead of a build, I can talk about how I use the equipment I use when I'm actually doing that. And to be fair, well, that is what I would do. You don't always need to. A lot of time you can just get away with what we're doing today. There we are. Let's see about these guys. What can we do with something like this? No. 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 There we go. That might layer up nicely. Oh yes, there we go. So now again, not only do I have some pipes, cabling, whatever over here, but just by layering these pieces, if I can, it's created a lot more depth and visual interest for this section of our ship. Dry that, because I don't want it to scoot. All right, we've got this one. Just going to put that anywhere, apparently. Doesn't quite work because of the cable I put in there earlier, which is too bad, because if I put that cable on now, it would fold over the top of both of them. Ah. In fact, as Wilmo do. Maybe. There we are. Makes that a little heavier glue on the yep. Hit that with some kicker. Clean it up with Q-tip first. Make sure that it is where I want it, and it is. Mostly. Now entirely. Watch those errant fingers. So now again, creating additional depth in here. I can now come in, see if we need to cover up any of these panels. I know it looks like James is asking if it's a civilian ship, since military would cover up more of these vulnerable bits, and we still can. We still can. I don't want to spend a lot of time looking for other panels, but we do have some good armor panels, and we can take some pieces like this to at least give the impression of reinforcement, right? I'm not going to put that there. I think it looks like crap, but we get the idea that, in fact, that would even fit nicely. Now here's everything underneath it as well. So we're back to that idea of creating depth. I just happen to think that bit looks better as is, but we could always, well, okay, I didn't leave us a lot of room to reinforce over here. Certainly not with this bit. What else we got? Oh, I wanted this bit. I glued it to the table. That's another one of these. It's the same. Here's a classic piece. Oh, there we go. There it is. And at that point, I think I might put on a plastic card panel or two, but I would call this. I'm thinking it's plenty busy at this point. And more Griblies, I don't think at this point would help sell the spaceship idea. Alright, you're going to want to be kicked, of course you are. Everything does today. So let me put on a couple last little detail bits. Just in a couple of spots. If I feel they add something to the kit, of course. That does. Where, oh, my little Griblies. Come here, little Griblies. They're so little. Get a pile of glue going here on the table. Just how I keep gluing everything to itself. else we got? A couple more. Oh, that's a good one too. It's got a little pointy bit on it. All right. Glue on it. Let's put that. Here. Oh, that has a widget. Let's get that little nubbin off of there. Go away, nubbin. Get on there, you gubbin. There we go. And this little guy just got out of being in the model. Goodbye, little thing. It's great knowing you. This little panel thing. Go right here, actually. Don't want to have that flat spot on there. No detail, no interest, just a big flat panel. Kick, just in case. And I came across one more little wire, so I'm going to take a look and see if I can find us a home for this that looks good. Like right there. Again, we've got that depth going on. Way too much. Oh, no. There we are. Last little look, last little look, last little look. Anything really jump out and say, Justin, put me on the model, put me on the model. Ah, the piece that thought it got away. Yeah, you're going on this model now. I have no idea where, but you're going. Add this to our little cluster over here. And I'm going to call it. All right, so back to the, and Ray, have a good one. Oh, by Greg. Sorry, Greg, not Ray. Greg, have a good one. Here is our finished Gridley Kit. And again, as we talk about some of the points I was making earlier, remember when this started with just our little panel here. I mean, we've built it up with additional detail on it, around it. It now has depth to it, so that when we're looking from various angles, because this is the top of my ship here, I still have interest wherever we're coming in. And I've made a point of making sure things come off of the ship this way as well. Thus the random hole in the ship with a tube coming out of it. But it'll add interest once it's painted up. Likewise, this entire mechanism now comes down here, all in layers. We can still get things under it. Yeah. So once this actually gets painted, it's going to look fantastic. what I would like to do, I'm going to pause the show here for about 2 minutes. I'm actually going to go outside and I'm going to hit this with some primer. I'm going to hit with some black and some white primer. Bring it back into the house. It's going to stink like mad, but it's worth it. I'll take it back out after. But I want you guys to be able to see this with primer before we go. So bear with, hold on, and I'll be right back. And I'm back from outer space. I just walked in to stick this ship up in front of my face. All right, so let me, rather than hold on to the handle or the stick. So I didn't have any black, so I actually went ahead and hit it with some orange that I had out there. So this is the orange and white, and yeah, it works. Some panel lining, some hints at windows make a big difference. But as it moves, again, you can see how that detail is going to play out for us. Let's go ahead and put it under the split. Won't be able to see the whole ship, but we'll be able to see some of the detail a little better here. So here we are with the primer on it. And again, that depth really comes through. Layering it up like this. Things going through it, things going around it. And having details just by themselves as well. Because now I can get in and I can, paint in panel lines very easily. I can get some window looking stuff over here. Whether I decide to do that with more bits, suddenly are these observation panels, observation areas. I can also do those on the front. I have not detailed the front of the ship yet, but my plan is to do so. Because yeah, for a studio piece, I would do the front, back, and one side. You don't need to see this side, so I may or may not do it. But you do need to be able to see the engine as it goes by, the front of the ship in case the camera's panning this way. Yeah, I don't know. But this is fun. This is really my favorite kind of build here, is just going nuts like this. Building up the layers, creating the depth, all of that. All these panels do have detail on them. Yeah, see, that could look good there at this point as windows, observation areas. Command deck. Ooh, right there though, ooh, in the front. Now it's got teeth. Ah, it's coming right for you. Making an angry ship. All right, but yeah, this is what we did today. Feel pretty good for what we accomplished in a couple hours together, and I look forward to getting it out of my studio because it smells really bad. But you know, what's a little paint huffing among friends, right? That said, before I get too loopy, thank you guys again for tuning in. That is the end of the broadcast for this week. As always, happy hobbying. I really appreciate having you come and join me on Workbench Wednesday. Again, if it's your first time, please like, subscribe, bells, whistles, buttons, all the things you need to click and do in order to make sure that you keep up to date. Catch us on Facebook, lots of new stuff coming. Big product release for our 10-year anniversary, which is actually coming up just a couple weeks. Secret Weapon will be 10 years old. It's absolutely crazy. All right, folks. Thanks again. Hopefully we'll catch you next week. Happy hobbying in the meantime.